G'day and welcome to another episode of the Kiwi Car Life Cheap Police Car Challenge. In the last episode, Jack and Campbell took over the editing and cheated by speeding up the footage on Jack's Commodore's hot lap to make it seem like it was much faster than my Legacy. Did you guys speed up the footage?
No.
When in actual fact it lost by over 10 seconds, which undoubtedly made me very cross. But today I'm fighting back by kitting out my plain black Legacy with a full Japanese police livery, lights and a radio. So let's get started.
Believe it or not, they really did use Legacies in Japan as cop cars. They're black with a white wrap from the door handles up and red lights. Before I started on the looks, I wanted to install a CB radio so that we can all communicate with each other while out performing police duties in future episodes. I bought a cheap CB radio which fit perfectly in the cubby between the air vents and wired the aerial lead to the front guard. Power and ground. Going through the firewall, up into here, through my new Molex connector to the radio. Does it turn on? No. Lights were relatively easy to install too. You can buy a set of red flashing lights with a module to control them for next to nothing off Aliexpress. We were originally going to wire 4 lights to the front and 2 to the rear tails, but the kits didn't come with enough extension leads. So I made a harness out of 4 of them and wired it through the firewall to the bumper. After a bit of fiddling around, I had them working easily enough. There we go, we've done it. We've done it. Everything is now through. So, coming out the back of here, we have obviously the radio antenna. We have the power for the radio and the power for the lights, which go into this Molex connector, which I then split the power and ground straight off the battery into the Molex connector. So if I ever want to take this out, I can just unplug it. And we've obviously got our 4 light outputs here. And it means that now we have in here a working radio and a working light controller. Yes, that is so excellent. Annoyingly, the extension cables provided to reach the front were only barely long enough, and when my dodgy power wiring for the lights and radio inevitably broke, I had to pull the center console out to repair it. And in the process, I ripped 2 of the pins out of the Molex connectors and had to settle for just 2 lights instead of 4. And for the record, we won't be using these lights on the road, it's just for a bit of YouTube authenticity. And finally, it was time to make it look like a real police car. I bought 10 meters of white wrap and set to work figuring out how to make the top half of the car white with that distinctive beak on the bonnet. I measured out sections and slowly squeegeed them into place. However, very quickly I had a whole new respect for people who do this for a living because it is extremely difficult. Nothing ever goes to... Oh, come on. Ambitious but rubbish. No! Why is it like that? How do I keep cacking this up? This is so bad. Getting clean edges and no bubbles or creases in places where it has to stretch proved very challenging, but after an entire day's work I had about half the car done with the Kiwi Car Life Police Department text down the side. Well, all in all, this is going about as well as an elephant trying to balance on a beach ball. This is so hard, and I accidentally used the side that I didn't cut very straight, so that's not at all good. The finish is appalling. Oh, it's so hard, but it's just for a couple silly videos, so it'll have to do. Day 2 began, and thanks to my practice the day before, things went, frankly, no better than yesterday, actually. I hate this so much. This is stupid. The rear quarter was just as difficult, leaving a finish I wasn't especially happy with. The 2 doors turned out a little better, but the front guards were also very hard because of the weird angles. Jack popped by to help me with the roof, and somehow we managed to stick most of the rear section down with no creases or bubbles at all, but getting it to wrap perfectly around the sunroof was next to impossible. But after 2 whole days of work, every panel was completed to the best of our ability, and so long as you don't look too close, it actually looks really cool. Check it out. It's so funny driving a car that I know is black and looking out on the bonnet and seeing a white bonnet and looking out the rearview mirrors and seeing white panels down the side. It's quite funny. I love driving this thing. It garners a lot of attention, like probably too much attention to the point where I've got to be careful what I do in the car. And for the record,
The lights, I have no plans on using them on the road. It's just because they look cool, and in car parks and so on at meets or something, I can go, hey, look at this. But I'm never going to use them on the road. I'm never going to pretend to pull people over, even though I probably could, because this is so quick. Oh, this thing is a masterpiece to drive, eh? Imagine if this really was like an actual police car and someone comes flying past like this maniac in the Camry, lights on, take off after him. And I love the short gears, eh? Oh, it's amazing. On track, this thing was flipping awesome. And on the road too. It's just brilliant engine, brilliant transmission. Man alive, I've completely changed my mind on these Legacies. I think they're absolutely fantastic cars. And I guess we'll just have to see in the rest of the competition, once we get Campbell and Jack's cars wrapped, how they compare. Because this ain't half freaking bad, man. This thing is an awesome, awesome car. Thanks very much for watching. That's my Legacy complete anyway. It now has the livery, the radio, the lights. We've polished it up, fixed all the leaks, made it mint, as mint as I can get it for a 223,000k car. And next week we'll be cracking into Jack and Campbell's cars. The 740i is getting a German police livery, and Jack's car, because obviously we can't do a New Zealand livery because it'll get us in trouble, is just going to get the lights. But when all three of the cars are done, I think they're going to be looking absolutely fantastic, and we'll be ready for the final few challenges that we're going to do with these cars. So stay tuned for that, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next time.